Greetings. So, with today's video, we're going to be talking about a little something different. There was a comment that was somewhat forcefully, trying to make the point that why am I not talking about, the recent star system reveals? Why, am I living under a rock? And you know who you are now. I am acknowledging your comment, and we're going to discuss it. Why haven't I not talked about these things? Well, I think the easiest way to kind of deal with that is to skip right to the star map, and we'll get into it. Now, I'm going to kind of walk you guys through it as we explore these things, but I think it's going to be, kind of plainly obvious where CIG seems to be going with this. Now, of course, this is the star map, and here are the systems we recognize. Stanton, we live here currently in the Star Citizen universe. Pyro, we have seen reveals of. Nyx, we have seen reveals of, and Odin, we have seen reveals of. Now, we've actually seen a lot more of Pyro, but I'll get to that in a minute. Odin, why is Odin significant? Because of the coil. This right here is the coil. We've been here, or we haven't been here, but we've seen it. This is, of course, from the Vertical Slice demo from a couple of years ago now. Was it? Just about? Yeah, this is the coil. This is where you go, you interact with that awesome reclaimer doing salvage, CIG please, and when we go down to the planet Gainey to rescue Trejo from the OMC, or whatever pirate group it is, that is this system. So it's not that far from Stanton, and of course there are jump points linking all these systems together. So it's, Odin to Nyx to Pyro to Stanton. So these systems are fairly close together. But once again, as I've shown, this stuff appears to be somewhat tied to Squadron 42, which is why when people were like, oh my god, we're going to Nyx, we're going to Pyro, I'm like, I'm not so sure, I would love to go to Nyx. Well, not so much Nyx. I would love to go to Pyro, obviously. Ruin Station, big pirate base. And actually, technically, we've all been to Pyro before, but it's the connection to Star Citizen, or Squadron 42, that concerns me because, as we know, CIG likes to be really tight with details and information regarding this sort of stuff. And while they may use, this geographic connection to kind of double down and deliver a whole lot of work, they may hold back on it, sort of the same way they do with the Idris and whatnot. They may kind of pull back because they don't want to reveal too many places which may be used in Squadron 42 until Squadron 42 is effectively out. So we may see Pyro, we may not see Nyx for a while. Nyx probably very likely to play some kind of role in Squadron 42. So there she is. We may not get access to that just on account of the fact that it probably plays an important role in Squadron 42. So when you're looking at a system like Odin, I think the chances of us actually getting into Odin anytime soon is not that likely. But let's go over to Nyx. Possible. Nyx is clearly a big junction system. There's a lot of access to a lot of different areas, but Nyx also has one other little feature over here, Delamar, strangely enough. So, when you hear people talking about, when they move Delamar to where it's supposed to be, this is what they're talking about. Delamar is not supposed to be in Stanton. It's supposed to be in Nyx. So, let's move over to Pyro. Now, you might say, Pyro doesn't look all that interesting, a few extra worlds and whatnot, but actually, you've been here before. You've, in fact, been here for years. Dying Star, when you play Arena Commander, Dying Star takes place in Pyro. This is a location in Pyro. Now, of course, oh my god, the star system's here. They've been building it for years. See what I'm talking about? No, this is, a basic level. This is nowhere near, the level of completion that we have seen in, in other star systems. This is probably not even really, except for the star backdrop and the, maybe the nebula. This is probably not going to see very much reuse between this and Pyro, and the actual Pyro that we're going to get is probably going to be something a little bit different. This is just kind of a flavor level. This doesn't reflect, how the whole star system is going to be. It also happens to be the home of Ruin Station, a major pirate base, which, I'm very excited to see. And I think, as I'm kind of explaining these things to you, I think that what CIG is doing is they are linking Squadron 42 and Star Citizen. They're trying to, basically double dip with their work. And, it's not like, I'm not saying it like they're tricking us or anything like that. They're trying to build both things together. And so they're going to try to get 2 for 1 as much as possible. And that's why they are building these links. But at the same time, I think that CIG is probably going to hold back some things to keep the narrative going or to keep the narrative secret in Squadron 42 as much as possible until they basically put it all out there and say, here it is. I'm a little, that's why, Pyro, very excited to see it, very interested to see Pyro and to see, what that opens up. I think that obviously being a pirate and, something of a scoundrel, or players who kind of live within the same circles are probably going to be very happy to find all these things out. Oh, big pirate base in a new star system. Looks like it's going to be a good thing. But overall, I think that our development is tied to Squadron 42, so whatever Squadron 42 needs is what Star Citizen's going to get. So those people who are hoping, oh, I want to open up a jump gate to Terra, and one of the, I believe it's Pyro, or maybe even, no, I would have to go back and double check, but one of these systems I know definitely has a jump straight to Terra. So there's probably a lot of people who are looking at like an 890 jump or something like that and thinking, linking up these two highly civilized areas like ArcCorp Area 18 and, Terra would open up a lot of luxury travel missions and things like that. I don't know that that's going to be a thing. It's very, very tough to speculate into this area because this is the area that is generally hidden under the most layers of, protection from CIG, that fear that if we go out there and we see these things, then we'll automatically know how the plot is, or it'll diminish the wow factor when you see something for the first time and you go, oh my god, wow, that's cool. And to a certain degree I do understand it, but not really. I think that in Star Citizen's case, it's kind of a unique circumstance, and I think the more information you share, the better. In many areas, not all, but in many areas. So I think that because there is such a strong tie to Squadron 42, it's very difficult to predict what they're going to do. Now, of course, we are supposed to have a Squadron 42 beta by, I think, the end of 2020, if that's even still on the schedule. But I don't know, it's like Chris Robertson release dates. I mean, it's a meme for a reason, right? And if Pyro being right next to Odin ends up being a system where Squadron 42, at least a part of that story, takes place, Nyx being right next to Odin is a star system that, ends up having a portion of the Squadron 42 story, we may not see that system because there may be some cool stuff going on in that system. They're like, oh no, we don't want to reveal it. There is the possibility. Like, if you think about why is Delamar in Stanton? Why do we have Delamar? It doesn't make any sense. Well, probably because Delamar, there is a portion of Squadron 42 that takes place in, that fancy bar in Delamar, and there's probably, there are hidden things in Delamar, like the little hidden rebel hideout at the back of the bar and other places like that, which would probably make a lot of sense in Squadron 42 if you're trying to do all these, city side, gameplay missions where you're meeting all these different people. So it's possible that the reason why we got Delamar and Levski into the Stanton system is so that CIG could kind of show a few things off, but double down and get that work done, and then later on move Delamar to where it's supposed to be in the Nyx system, in which case they may not reveal a lot that's going on with the Nyx system, so it's difficult to gauge. On the one hand, you're wondering, when are we going to get Squadron 42, right? Realistically. And on the other hand, that CIG likes to play things close to the chest. So Nyx, while people said, oh, we saw Nyx, and we saw it in the broadcast, we saw the list of planets, and, Disco Lando got all angry. He was like, take that off the screen, Who knows? Who knows if we're if they're going to give it to us. I don't, right? Pyro, I'm more, I would say, is more likely, and Ruin Station, obviously very excited to see, but Nyx is probably something that CIG is going to keep in their pocket until a point that, that Squadron 42 is probably out. It's very easy to look at a ship or to look at a gun or to look at a space bike or whatever and say, oh, this is how it's used. This is what this is meant for. That is what that's meant for. It's very easy to speculate on things like that. But when you kind of get to the point where you're dealing with complex production schedules, what they want to reveal and what they don't want to reveal, you start dealing with some things that you can't really quantify or qualify, and it becomes very difficult to kind of speculate down those roads. And that's somewhat why I avoid these things. And it's also kind of being something of a veteran of this whole Squadron 42 Star Citizen process for so many years. It's just, it's like, I'll believe it when I see it type mentality. I know that that's, not what everyone wants to hear, but, after a certain point of dealing with CR and his way of doing things, it's invariably where most fans end up. It's just like, okay, cool, but I'll believe it when I see it, So that is kind of why I don't too heavily speculate on, this sort of stuff until I see something more concrete, and which is kind of what I'm looking for at CitizenCon. But, what I feel we're going to get once again is that they're going to show us a video, and they'll maybe show us a trip through a wormhole and a trip to Pyro. Cool. But I don't think they're going to be like, and 3.9, we're dropping it. No, I think that this is going to be, at the soonest, June of next year. That's honestly what I believe. So, there you go. I hope you enjoyed the video. And calm down just a little bit, my dude. Calm down. Thanks for watching.
Thank you for watching. So if you want to keep up with the latest and greatest in Star Citizen and Squadron 42's development, please follow us on our social media channels. See you soon.